Alright, so here I am playing Cuphead. I don't know, I heard a lot about it, but I don't really see the appeal so far. I don't even know who's my character. They're not really following the inputs. I mean, the controls suck. So far the controls absolutely suck. Okay, here's Cuphead. That's gotta be him. I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to be doing here. The story's a little convoluted. I don't really think they followed a linear style. It's not a very action-heavy game, is it? It's all story, but I really don't know how we're getting from point A to point B. Oh, geez, I'm already in hell. Was that the devil? How do I attack? How do I attack? They're not letting me. Oh, is that me? I got him. I'm actually pretty good at this game. Man, this is an easy game. I don't know what all the fuss is about this being so tough. I'm already on the final boss. It's not that tough. This isn't worth playing at all. Oh, here we go. Okay, some action. Who's shooting? I shoot them by the boats. Oh, how did I do that? You know, they make it really difficult to play when your character doesn't stay on the screen. I don't know what I'm following here. Yeah, I guess overall, the game's garbage.
Well, Cuphead and his pal Bugman.
Okay, now this is what I'm talking about.
A great slam and then some. And begin!
Cuphead is like a beautiful mirage after being lost in a sea of endless unoriginality and mediocrity in modern media. And how ironic, considering it's inspired by such a classic, timeless era of art. The style of an old school cartoon is one of the most brilliant things I have ever seen, and it makes you wonder how nobody thought to make a game like this before. It's so unbelievably creative, and I think the modern world is sorely lacking such a commitment to quality and excellence. This isn't some kind of cheap gimmick. They took this theme and exhausted their efforts to make it as pure and true to the style they were inspired by as seemingly possible. The character designs, the movements, sounds, music, even down to the grainy filter. If you didn't know any better, you would think this was ripped straight from a real cartoon from back in the day. It's incredibly cool, and the playstyle matches the theme. Such an awesome and classic old school style that seems to have been lost to time as it continues. There is a real challenge here, which fits well into the perfectly inspired motif of an earlier era of creation. Truly, a lot of modern games have such a problem with difficulty. They are either way too incredibly easy, where you can basically play the whole thing while eating a sandwich and have your attention going towards some random conversation with whoever else is in the room with you. Or they can make it incredibly difficult by handicapping the player, such as removing the status screen, leaving you unsure of what weapons you have or how many bullets, or giving the enemies an insane stat boost that will wipe the floor with yours. It's not so here. It's all a fair bout, and nothing is impossible, but it's going to take skill, your wits, and genuine talent at the game to make it through. The challenge here is perfectly balanced. What are you doing, man? Get away from me. Stop coming near me. Yes! No! Alright, next phase. See, it's simple mistakes that... What? You can't touch that thing? You can't touch any of it? The whole thing? Yeah, don't expect this to be fun the entire time. You're gonna get pissed off. Expect to hear and see this a whole lot of times. I will give it this, though. You know that feeling of dying and you feel the heat, wanting to get right back into it? Well, boom. They at least allow you that pleasure. It's a game that requires such precise movement. You need to watch every single detail on screen. Whatever is animated is there to kill you. There are moments like with Wally Warbles, where I'm thinking, I can't believe this is an actual attack. This must be some kind of a mistake. It's insanity. How can anyone beat this? And then the more you play, you learn that, oh, okay, I can actually navigate through this. There's a pattern here. I can actually beat this. You figure it out, but only through intense trial and error. You can't just pick this up willy-nilly and grind through these bosses unless you know them well. If it's one of your first times playing through, expect to be here for a while. It's no different with the running gun. Jump, wolf, dodge, jump, wind, get coin. Each stage becomes a rhythm, and you follow a certain beat that you've come to understand. I love that these wolves throw the axe and call it back like Thor's hammer. Which reminds me, while we're on the subject, yes, while this is mostly a boss rush game, there are some levels dispersed between the aisles, which are worlds, called run and guns, which act as classic side-scrollers, which are fun, and actually some of the hardest levels in the game, but I think personally, my favorite part and what makes this game shine are the bosses. Each and every boss requires you to spend time, energy, and effort into learning and understanding these fights, how they move, what makes them tick. Simple mistakes are unforgivable, but this is all part of the charm. Each boss is stacked with phases, and hitting the next one is such a satisfying feeling and a great visual sense of progress. The crazier these things become, the closer you are to sweet victory. And oh man, when you finally beat some of these things sometimes, you just want to scream out in pure ecstasy. Dr. Cal's robot took me so long to beat. I finally ended him on a super knockout. I can't even tell you how incredibly amazing that felt. I mean, look at this final phase. Jeez, yeah, there's a pattern to it, but it's tough. It's a skill and an art in and of itself to gracefully move through the screen, dodging and parrying at all of the right moments. I'm gonna be honest with you, I have a little crush on the mermaid. She is cute! I have no problem getting stuck on this boss, even though she's pretty easy. This literal pile of putrid garbage, though, he can burn in fiery torment. And that's not even an insult, that's literally what I'm doing to these people, or these creatures, whatever they are. And yes, the literal story here, the reason you're going around killing all these things, is that you gambled your life away and now you need to run around collecting all of the souls that owe a contract to the devil in order to save your own. It does fit the aesthetic here very well. Old school animation was constantly pushing the boundaries and playing on dark or unnerving themes. Seriously, go back to some of these and you'll be surprised what they were getting away with. And no, I'm not talking about this. That's just straight up racist and inexcusable. I mean stuff like this. Even Donald Duck has a whole cartoon based on sacred geometry. That's wild.
It was our old friend Pythagoras who discovered that the pentagram was full of mathemagic.
The game gives you a few customizable options in regards to weapons and charms. There's really no right or wrong weapon here. Sometimes one works and sometimes it doesn't. You come in, try something, and realize, no, that's not going to work. You switch it out, and voila, that is the ticket. With weapons, I'm a big fan of the charge. It's the most powerful. It's the hardest to land to a certain extent. It definitely takes the most attention and aim, but the results are crystal clear. Rumor Honeybottom's little lackey takes a clean 6 shots, quick and easy compared to how long it took me to do with another weapon. My usual go-to setup would be the charge with the spread shot, though it does depend on who I'm fighting. The good old pea shooter, your starting weapon, never goes out of style. And I love that Kamehameha shot. The roundabout can be useful for a match like Grim Matchstick or other bosses that you're always moving away from, though it isn't really worth the loss of damage for me. I'd recommend the Lobber over that because it gives you the range you need while also maintaining damage. Oh yeah, and the chasers for little whiny poo-poo in their diaper babies. As far as charms are concerned, the only thing you really want is the smoke bomb. Invisible dash, you're going to need that. In most moments, it seems almost like a requirement. I don't know how to do some of these things without the smoke bomb. The extra hearts are good for a pacifist run, but in a boss fight, the damage nerf is going to be more harmful in the long run. The automatic parry might be good for people who have trouble getting the timing down, but I find this to be part of the fun, and a necessity to the game, being able to masterfully parry during all of the commotion. Not to mention how satisfying it is to land. I'd say don't deprive yourself of this. There's a whetstone that will allow you to damage using a parry. The coffee will continuously fill your super meter, but it fills up pretty quickly enough on its own, as long as you're playing right. You can only put in one charm, so I'd say do not waste the slot. Speaking of the super meter, that is what those cards represent at the bottom of the screen. You can use up each one individually for a special attack unique to each weapon. If you save up all 5, you're able to use a super attack. There are a total of 3 that you can unlock at the mausoleums found on each aisle. The first super gives you this big long-range attack, the second is an invincibility state, and the third is this weird, I don't know, some big guy comes out and spins around. It's definitely the strongest, but there's trouble with that one. It's incredibly hard to control. You need to keep the attack on the enemy while making sure Cuphead or Mugman is still safe. Most of the time, the directions don't line up to what you need. If you want the extra challenge and can land this well, it's the most powerful attack, but I always like sticking with the first super. I mean, come on. You try watching this and tell me that it doesn't seem like the most fulfilling out of all of them, to unleash this massive beam. Super 2, the invincibility, barely lasts and isn't useful to you unless you're going for a pacifist run. Then you absolutely need it. The love, care, and attention to detail poured into this game is impossible not to recognize. There were no shortcuts, no lazy ways out. Everything you see on screen is completely new, original, and unique to itself. It's astounding. Everything on the map and in the level is completely catered to the character that occupies it. These characters are living, breathing beings with tons of personality and characteristics that can be picked up on without any dialogue or story beats. The best example is Sally's stage play. She's easily one of my favorite bosses, just for the design on its own. The whole boss fight is the story of her life. She gets married, has a baby, she even dies and becomes an angelic or even godlike creature. The end of her life is the curtain call to the show, and you're along for the whole ride. Well, trying to kill her, but still. There's even a secret phase where you can kill her husband instead, and the entire play takes an alternate route. Now she becomes a nun. The husband shows up in the afterlife as well, seeing as how you killed him, you murderer. The play is over, and they all cheer for you in the end. Well, for her. I guess she's the hero and you're the villain of this story? It's also weird how the curtain call comes after the afterlife. Does this mean that whatever happens after death is still not the end of the show? What a wild concept. I think the greatest thing of all about this game, the whole time you're working through boss fights, collecting contracts for the devil. He's the big bad, you're working for him. The most evil, the most powerful. He seems like such a massive force that exists beyond the construct of the other bosses, and yet at the end, you discover he's just another villain too. And with enough hard work, he can also be defeated. I absolutely love that kind of thing. The biggest bad, the whole reason we started this, something that is seemingly undefeatable, outside of the spectrum of what can be done. There are no unstoppable forces. You are the only unstoppable force in your own life. I beat the devil on the last phase without even seeing the last phase. That was really fast. He was the easiest boss. It took me no time at all. I don't think that's what was intended, but still happened. It is very cool that the devil is the big bad here, but I'm gonna start keeping track of how often this kind of evil, devilish, or demonic theme pops up. It seems kinda innocent here or there, but, well, it comes up a lot. I know it's not just me. Look, I don't know what the heck it all means, but just for future reference, I'm gonna start pointing it out. We'll see how frequent it comes up, and then I guess we'll go from there. So the end of the game, yay, we did it. Cuphead and Mugman set all the souls free, burn all the contracts, and everybody praises them. So yeah, we're all free, but didn't I already kill everybody? I mean, sure, their souls are free, but it seems like a lot of damage has already been done. I'm not really sure why people are completely praising Cuphead and Mugman, but I mean, you need a happy ending, right? And just as Cuphead and Mugman's adventures have come to an end, so must this review. I have nothing but positive things that I've taken from this game, and so I have nothing but positive things to give. Cuphead is an incredible game and absolutely worth the experience. Whether I would revisit it, I have already multiple times, and I see no reason why I wouldn't again in the future. To Studio MDHR, everybody involved in the creation of this masterpiece, I give you the highest regards. Thank you for this added treasure to gaming. My hat is off to them. To perfectly sum it all up, bravo! Stick around because next time this is gonna blow your mind. I'll be doing a review.